Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have with me Mike Gisal.
Thanks for having me this morning. Glad to be here. And of course, we are still reviewing the injuries of yesterday's game.
Just before we get to yesterday's game and this outstar of the Super Eagles of Nigeria from the FIFA World Cup coming up in just a few weeks from now, we'll get you some local stories first. Idahosa University will stand as clinched the 27 Nigerian University Games Association Tournament after topping the final medal table at the University of Jos, ending more than a decade of dominance by the University of Port Harcourt at the Nigerian University Games. Mike, University of Port Harcourt dethroned from the top. Now it is the era of Idahosa University.
Yes, the Idahosa University of Benin, I think it's been a great one for them, great year for them.
50 medals?
50 medals is a record one for them, and I think they've been doing pretty well in terms of sport development. I've been following them closely, so I think I'm not surprised that they were able to come out top in this particular one. But for Uniport, there have been a consistent winner. That is the University of Port Harcourt. I think it's such a bad outing for them because they couldn't even make a podium finish. As Idahosa University clinched the top prize in that very one. I just hope that in the next edition, which is going to take place out there in University of Calabar, Uniport will, of course, find back their footing.
Talking about finding back their footing, the University of Jos, the host university, actually found its footing. It came second at the tournament. They've never been this far on the medal slog before.
Yeah, I think it was a good one for them. A good finish for them. University of Jos, I think they took advantage of the fact that they were hosting their own background, and they capitalized on that to, finish within the podium. Only if they can build on this in the next edition, it's going to be a good one for them.
The University of Port Harcourt really have to check what has happened in the last 10 years or more. They have been consistent, toppers at the table at the end of the university games, and now they really have to look for how to get back to the top of the table, because they won a partridge, just 5 gold medals and placed 12 on the medals table at the end of the day. That's quite an unfamiliar position for the University of Port Harcourt at the university games. Enough of that now. Let's get down to the breaking news of rest. Well, what is trending right now, sports-wise, that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will not, yes, you heard me right, will not be part of the FIFA World Cup coming up in the Americas, Canada, United States of America, and Mexico. In the final playoff in Africa, out there in Rabat, Morocco, last night, it was 90 minutes of 1-1, and of course, another 30 minutes of no goal scored, so they entered into penalty shootout, and it ended 4-3 at the end of the shootout, ensuring that the team from Congo, yes, Congo DR, emerged as a team that will be going into the Intercontinental Playoff final coming up March next year. It's really, really sad, but we'll take an X-ray to look at what actually happened. A lot of people believe that without Victor Osimhen, there is no Super Eagles of Nigeria. And let's start from that point, Mike. Last night, we saw Victor Osimhen play in the first half. He didn't come out of the dressing room for the second half of hostilities. And thereafter, it looked as if the Super Eagles of Nigeria that was actually in the game in the first half disappeared completely, because all of the second 45 minutes, the Super Eagles were playing under pressure from their own defense line. The Congolese were running rings around them. And they continued in the extra time as well. The Congolese had dominance for at least 75 minutes of that encounter. The Super Eagles were just, contending with just defending. And we must say kudos to the defenders, because all of these 75 minutes did not produce a goal. But there was a major slip in defense caused by captain of the side, what's his name now, Wilfred Ndidi, who ensured that equalizer after Nigeria scored in the third minute through Frank Onyeka.
I think it's quite a terrible display from the Super Eagles last night. And talking about Victor Osimhen not coming out of the dressing room, it really affected the game plan of the Super Eagles. And at that point, you begin to wonder why the coach has to do that alteration from the squad that won 4-1 against Gabon, because I think going with 2-man up front would have given Victor Osimhen a bit of freedom to relax a bit, not chasing the ball from every angle. He decided to make 2 alterations, all right, in the lineup against Gabon, bringing in Frank Onyeka and then introducing Shemilogo Ajayi. That utterly, distorted the first 11 that he used against Gabon. Then Victor Osimhen was used as the, lone man up front, and leaving the bulk of the work for him up front, which for me, immediately I saw that lineup and that formation, I wasn't too comfortable about it. Now, distorting the defense line that was so good against, Gabon, is one thing I don't understand. Taking Frederick, that has been very exceptional, back to pair Shemilogo Ajayi alongside Kelvin Bassey, it didn't really work. So for me, I think I want to say that the coach committed a little blunder, because you don't change winning teams. Nobody does that. No coach does that. You can't be experimenting at that crucial stage where the World Cup ticket is at stake. You try to do some experiment. No, I said it that immediately the team filed out and I saw the game formation. Victor Osimhen was the lone striker. I knew it that it was going to be, a disaster, because the defenders of DR Congo, they will try to mark Victor Osimhen, mark him after the game. But if he had played with 2 strikers up front, maybe Akko Adams might just be, doing the damage, while the defenders of DR Congo try to hold down Victor Osimhen. Akko Adams can do the damage. So for me, I think it was so terrible for the Super Eagles that throughout the course of the game, especially in the second half and even the extra time, DR Congo were asking much of the question. In fact, they pressured the Super Eagles, forcing the coach to do some substitution that were uncalled for. And at that point, I just know that it is out of the reach of the Super Eagles. So Victor Osimhen without the Super Eagles, rather without Victor Osimhen, seems very, very shaky.
Talking about Victor Osimhen, it looks to me like Victor Osimhen is in the like of George Oponwea of Cameroon, of Liberia. We equally have, what's his name now? Andrei Shevchenko of Russia. These are top players, top marksmen for their respective countries, play good football, score goals for their respective countries, but didn't have the luck, the fortune of going to the FIFA World Cup. I talked about Shevchenko, remember him, of Russia, and there's Oponwea. I remember Oponwea was in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, where the Super Eagles beat them by, I think, 3-0 in Port Harcourt here and ended their World Cup dreams. Now we have Victor Osimhen that is about 26. By the time the next World Cup comes around, he will be 30, and I doubt whether he will still be fit enough to play. So it looks like Victor Osimhen is same as Liberia Oponwea and Andrei Shevchenko, among top marksmen in the world who did not have the luck of going to play at the top level where they belong, which is the FIFA World Cup.
It's looking likely that is what the future might hold for Victor Osimhen. If our football administrators fail to do the needful by starting early preparation. If you want to go to the World Cup, you don't just wait until a few months before a World Cup qualification before you start, experimenting which coach is good and which coach is not good. Within the...
Yes, that reminds me, I was going to get to the part, who do we hold, responsible, what could be responsible for the ouster of the Super Eagles from the World Cup. We were playing a relatively very weak group where there was Zimbabwe, weak group where there was Lesotho, and we should have been one of the first countries to qualify outrightly in our group, but we messed up with our first 4 games in the group, and by the time we started thinking of coming back, it was too late. And one of the reasons, like you alluded, is the fact that we had 3 coaches that were sacked within the qualifier of the same season in the World Cup qualification series. There was General initially, he was sacked. There was Austin Eguavon.
Joseph Pissarro, I mean to say.
Sorry, Pissarro, I meant to say at the start. There was Pissarro first, then Eguavon, Finidi the George, and now we had Eric Chell. So 3 coaches have suffered do I say, the fate of being sacked in the same qualification race. It looked as if the Nigerian Football Federation didn't have a clear idea of who they wanted to prosecute the World Cup. And we knew we were going to play the World Cup 4 years ago.
And that is why I said that, our football administrators, they should be held responsible rather for this anomaly. It's quite disappointing, embarrassing, and heartbreaking one for Nigerian football footballers at large. Go online, you see the outcry, the wailing is too much. And I think for me, NFF should take full responsibility about the roster of the Super Eagles not making it to the World Cup come next year, because you don't do coaching experiments at such a period, as such sensitive period of qualification of the World Cup. You don't do that. How can you be experimenting 3 coaches within the period of just few months, in World Cup qualification? Nobody does that. And I knew it at that point that we were in danger. Now, you take a look at Jose Pizarro, who started the poor run, played about 2 games, winning, drawing 2 of the games. Then Finidi George came in, played 2, lost 1, drew 1, and that is where the big issue began. 4 games without, maximum even 5 points, and that is where the problem set in. They began to experiment. Before bringing Eric Chell, it was too late. There was nothing the young man could do, although he did his best. It's just that his best weren't good enough, because he was let down by, players who failed to live up to the expectation. When it matters most, you expect them to bring in their A game and bring that high level of professionalism, but then, quite disappointing, they let themselves down, they let Nigerians down by not making it to the World Cup. So I think NFF should be, held responsible for the pains and the, disaster that so many Nigerians are going through right now, because of the Super Eagles' failure to make it to the World Cup next year.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will not be at the FIFA World Cup consecutively now. They were not there at the last World Cup in 2022, and now we will be missing out on the 2026 edition of the World Cup. In fact, this will be the 3rd time Nigeria will not be at the World Cup, if you remember. We were not there, I think, in 2016 as well. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria not going to be at the World Cup consecutively, and this looking very sad. Let me say it here, Mike. This is a World Cup of nearly 50 countries. Are you now saying 48 countries will be at the FIFA World Cup for next year, 48 to be specific? But will it be right to say that the Super Eagles of Nigeria is not among the top 50 teams, best 50 teams in the world right now? Because 48 of these teams will be going to the World Cup, and I find it difficult to believe that we cannot qualify among the best 48 teams right now in the world of football, that Nigeria is not one of the top teams. I remember in 1994 when we went to the first FIFA World Cup, Nigeria came out 5th top football playing nation in the world. And now we are not among the first 50 teams, that best 50 teams in the world.
That is how terrible our football has gone down the drain in the last 10 years right now, and the evidence is very clear. It is very, very clear that the Super Eagles, they are not doing pretty well. You talk about the home Eagles, nowhere to be found. You talk about the under-23 zeros. You talk about the under-17, nothing to write home about. And I think this is how terrible football administrators has brought the game to disrepute so far, because you can't say that Nigeria is a footballing nation. They are African, soccer giants, and then we can't, make it to the World Cup back to back again. 8 good years. We had